Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 Howl. It is time for the Tucson Roadrunner mid-season report, and they've been on a pretty good streak since the last time we checked in on the Tucson Roadrunners. Since that last video, they went 11-7-5, and now they're sitting in 7th place in their division, which sounds bad, but ridiculously enough, the top 7 teams in a 10-team division make the playoffs. So right now they are battling for a playoff position. They are right there at the last playoff position, much like the Utah Mammoth, who are battling for a wild card position as well. They're 18, 14, and 7 overall. Their goals for per game is pretty good, better than Utah's 3.23 goals per game. It's good for 5th in their division. Their goals against per game is pretty rough, 3.2, which is good for 7th. You want that way below 3 goals per game. The power play is pretty bad, much like the Utah Mammoth power play, although it is higher than Utah's. It's currently at around just under 19%. That's 8th in a 10-team division. And their PK is really rough as well, unlike the Utah Mammoth, which is better at around 76%, 9th in their division. They've been on a pretty good heater recently, I would say the past 15 games or so. And there's one player that is the reason why they've been on such a good positive streak lately. But their last 10 games are 6-2-2, and their home record 11-8-5, and away record 7-6-2. The goalies, Matt Vialta and Jackson Stauber, bit of a Uno reverse card. I feel like last year Stauber was a starter for the Roadrunners. Now Vialta seems like the starter. 2 seasons ago, Vialta had 31 wins in the season, and he was the all-star for the Tucson Roadrunners. This season, pretty good, 12-6-2, a 901 save percentage, maybe goals against average a little bit high. But in the American Hockey League, most of the games, pretty much all the games are back-to-backs, like Friday or Saturday, or some random Wednesday, Thursday, or a Saturday, Sunday. So you're always having to rotate a goalie because for your starter goalie to play a lot of games back-to-backs, they're going to get tired really easily. So that's why, Stauber's playing a lot of games as well. 6-8-5. Maybe you would like those overtime shootout losses to turn into some wins, like 7 overtime shootout losses. You win half of those games and you're in a much better position in terms of standings. With Stauber's goalie numbers, not too good. Then we go to the players, which honestly, in the forward core, I'm a little bit disappointed by our prospects. The prospects are highlighted with the green star, and you can see Daniel Boot, who hasn't played for the Tucson Roadrunners in eons, it feels like. What is it, like 2 months now? He's only played 19 games for the Roadrunners, almost a point per game, and he's 5th in the forwards in terms of point production. They're being led by 7th round pick in 2020, Ben McCartney. He's finally having a great season, and maybe I expect him to be called up sooner rather than later. I know they recently called up Cameron Hebig, but I would not be surprised to see McCartney be called up, maybe fill in a 4th line spot. He's a gritty competitor, battles hard, sort of that bottom 6 type of winger, but he's putting up great points in the American Hockey League, 38 points in 39 games played for the Tucson Roadrunners, followed by Hebig, who now has a franchise record in goals. So he has the most goals in Tucson Roadrunner history, 33 points in 39 games played. The captain, Poganski, 4th place, and then Nathan Walker, both American Hockey League veterans. Walker, 21 points in 39 games played. And then we go to our prospects. First, it's Nord, who's like leading our sort of first wave of prospects for the Roadrunners and the Utah Mammoth organization. I expect a second wave of, maybe Iginla, maybe Baudouin, Gabe Smith, maybe Desnoyers as soon as next year due to the new rules with the Canadian Hockey League and American Hockey League, where you're allowed to send 1 player per year down from the CHL to the American Hockey League, even if they're under 20 years old. I believe that's a new rule that's going to kick in next season. So we might see Desnoyers with the Roadrunners next season. But Nord, 16 points in about 39 games played. And then you got some American Hockey League veterans, Agazzino, who's having a down year. He had a much better performance last year. I think it was 2nd place on the team in points. This year he's having a bit of a down year, and he made the Utah Mammoth out of camp. But since being sent down to the Roadrunners, he's struggling, having trouble getting his game going. And then Allard, Lutz, Matika, Lipkin. The only positive I see from them is they're playing a lot of games, which is good because last year they weren't playing all the games. So if you look at Nord, Allard, and Lutz, they're playing every game. Matika, he didn't even score last season in 28 games played. He only had 2 assists. At least this year in 29 games played, he has 3 goals, 3 assists for 7 points. And Lipkin, he had 10 goals in 56 games played last year, which was great. This year, not scoring a lot, only 1 goal and 5 points in just around 30 games played. Then we go to our defense, which is probably the bright spot for the Tucson Roadrunners. They're being led by sort of fringe NHLer, now sort of American Hockey League veteran Scott Perunovich, who Utah signed in free agency in the summer. He's got career high in points and games played in the American Hockey League, leading the D-Corps with 27 points in about 39 games played. And then Maximilian Zuber having a career year in terms of goals. He scored the most he's ever scored in 35 less games played, and he's on pace to break his career high in points as well. Love to see that. And then Dmitry Simashev, 20 points in 20 games played since being sent down, 5 goals in those 20 games. He's scoring, he's shooting a lot more from the point. He brought such a positive impact to this team, and he is named to the American Hockey League All-Star game, so he will represent the Tucson Roadrunners. So love that for Dmitry Simashev, finding success, not sulking, not being upset he got demoted, just playing and improving his game. And the next time we see him with the Utah Mammoth, he's going to be a completely different player. Mark my words, just like Daniel Boot. And then we go to Lamoureux, who is having a career year as well in goals and points in 10 less games played, but I just expect more out of Lamoureux. I'm always underwhelmed when I look at his points in the American Hockey League. I just want him to do better, do more, and produce more. But he is fighting at least. He's getting into some fights in the American Hockey League. So getting that meanness and toughness into his game instead of being that sort of gentle giant that I may have some problems with some of these big body defensemen that we've drafted. And then Artem Duda, pretty disappointing, 13 points in 27 games played. It seems like he's losing ground in the defensive depth chart. It seems like this season Zuber has climbed over Duda, and so now he's got a battle for Lamoureux, Zuber, and Simashev, who are ahead of him in a depth chart. So whenever the Utah Mammoth need defensemen from the Roadrunners, they're probably going to go to Simashev first, and then Lamoureux, and now maybe Zuber before we even get to Duda. And I do like Duda when we drafted him. He's a great skater, smooth skater, sort of that offensive rover defenseman that I've always wanted to see up in the NHL, but he's not producing a lot, and he's not having great success with the Roadrunners. So maybe, hopefully he gets it going near the end of the season. Maybe he has a good playoff run, or maybe he just has a better summer and is improved for training camp next season. So that's a mid-season report for the Tucson Roadrunners. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.